Hi, I'm Dimple, and today I'm going to be talking about variables, if statements, and some of the blocks available on Blockly Movie. Okay, so as you can see, we're on the Blockly Movie page. If you want to pull this website up as I walk through it, feel free to do so. I kind of skipped ahead to level 6 just to show you a variety of the blocks available, but to start off, I would recommend level 1 just so you can get used to the blocks and see what you understand and don't understand. On the left, you can see the image that we are supposed to create, and on the sidebar, you can see different things like movie, color, and math. If you click on either one of them, you will see a selection of different blocks that will help you draw out the image you want. So if I click on movie, I can see we have circle, rectangle, line, and time. If I click on color, we can see we have set color to, and math, we have these two different blocks. Okay, so we're going to focus by making the red circle for the head. I'm going to drag the circle block first. I have a few of the other blocks, but I'll just remove those. And the way you do that is you just drag it over to the side and it deletes it. Okay, so I have a circle block right here. Notice that the color of the circle is black, so this is where the color block comes in. And you can just drag that and I'll put it to the top. And now you see that the circle is red. Notice if I put this block on the bottom, the circle is black, and this is because code runs from top to bottom, so if you put on the bottom, then it's not going to set it to red. And the keyword is if. Basically, the circle will only be red if the color is set to red, and in computer science this is known as the if statement or a conditional, and we need to be really specific so the computer knows what we want to happen. We will use an actual if-then block later in the levels to specifically say which event we want to happen. So let's put this back to the top. Now, right now, the circle is not quite where we want it to be. And on the block you can see we have circle X, Y, and radius. And this is where we have to change up the numbers to move the block to where we want it to be. For those of you who know about coordinate planes, this should be simple. But if you don't know about it, that's okay, I'll walk you through it. So let's take a look at our screen. On the left side, it's labeled with numbers, and so is the bottom. And basically, we have to keep an eye on the numbers in the corner right here to tell us where our pointer is and what position we're in. So I'm going to start from here and move my pointer up. Watch what happens. As you can see, the X stays the same, but the Y is changing from all the way from 100 down to 0. So on a coordinate plane, basically the vertical components correspond to Y. Now let's take a look at the bottom of the numbers. As I move my mouse, you can see that the Y stays the same but the X changes. And in a coordinate plane, all the horizontal components correspond to the X values. Now let's try moving the circles to where it should be. First, I'm going to change the X. And let's say we know our circle has to be somewhere between 40 and 60, so I'm going to say it's 50. If I change it to 20, you can see that it moved over to the left. And if I change it to 80, you can see it moved over to the right. So I'm going to set it to 50. And we want to move our circle up. And you can see this circle head is somewhere between 80 and 60. So I would say that's 70. So I'll put 70. Now our circle is in the right position, but as you can see, it's not the right size. And this is where the radius comes in, and the radius is half of the circle length. And the length, as I said before, is somewhere between 40 and 60, which means the distance is 20. Half of that is 10, so the radius is 10. You can also look at the Y components to figure this out, so 60 and 80. Difference to that is 20, so the radius is 10. So I'll put in 10, and you can see that the circle is in the right spot. And if you click on the little triangle in the corner and click on that, that will run the movie, so I'll do that. Okay, so the circle is in the right spot, but as you can see, all the other shapes are moving around, and that means that our circle is a static variable, which means that it's going to stay the same no matter what. And so whatever values we set here, such as the 50 for the X, the 70 for the Y, and the radius of 10, that is going to stay the same throughout the whole thing from start to end. Now, other shapes like the arms and the legs, those are moving around, and those are called dynamic variables, which means that the values you set at the beginning are not going to be the same as the values at the end. So I'm going to focus on this leg right here, and to do that I'm just going to drag on a little block here, and let's say we want to change the color to gray, and to change the color you just click on the box and just select the color, and we are going to have to look at the values at where it starts. So the x starts at 0 and the y ends at 20, so let's do that, and the y starts at 0, and then the x ends at 50, so y ends at 20 and x ends at 40, my bad. And then we can change the width to about 5. If you run that, you can see that our leg is still static, which means it's not going to move around like we want it to be. So to change where the box moves, you have to add in a variable which is in movie, and it's called time. And basically what this does is it changes the position of your object from the time of 0. You can see times right here. Time starts at 0 and it goes all the way to 100. And wherever you put this, it will move your box. So I'm gonna put it for line starts X, and watch what happens. Okay, so that was perfect. That's what we wanted, but let me show you what else happens if we put it in a different spot. So if I put it for starts Y, watch what happens from the start. You can see the ending value was set, but the starting value wasn't. So the box moved from all the way from the Y, which was 0, all the way to the Y, that was 100. If I put it for end X and I run that, you can see that if the ending value is set, it's going to the ending value of 100, but the starting value is kind of what changes. And then for ending Y, you can see that the ending Y value is 100 and the starting is 0. So it just goes from 0 to 100. And if I did that for width and I run that, you can see that this size of the block is changing. So I'm going to put that back where it was and run that, and you can see that the leg matches and the circle head matches. Now that I walked you through the basics, you should have a better idea of how to get this movie going. I've talked about dynamics, static variables, if statements, and the majority of the blocks available. You might not get through all the levels easily, but try to get creative and think outside of the box. Now it's your turn to make your own movie.